Welcome to Ask the Gov. Let's begin. Our first question comes from Jenny on Facebook. Jenny asks, how do you think 1.5% state aid will help our schools after having a 4% rate in the last year? First of all, I want to say education is a very high priority, and we worked for a long period of time to get our new teacher leadership program adopted. We are now in the first year of implementation of the teacher leadership program. Each year requires an additional $50 million of state dollars. It's $50 million this year, $50 million next year, and then $50 million the year after that. And we have that money already committed to education. In addition to that, I've recommended another $50 million for supplemental state aid for this coming year. That's $100 million. And that's over half of the new money that's going to be available in the next fiscal year. In the second year, another $150 million is recommended in my recommendation for supplemental state aid. And that amounts to $250 million. That's $250 million. And it's well over half of the new money that's available. So I think we're making a huge commitment to education. I would also point out, as part of our teacher leadership program, we're providing stipends for teachers that are in the top 25% of their class that go into teaching math, science, or special ed and stay and teach in Iowa for 5 years. That's $20,000 that they would get in addition to their regular salary. We're also putting money into and increasing funding for early childhood education for a 4-year-old preschool and for our reading resource center that's providing help for kids that have need. And we're also working with United Way and going to be using Vista volunteers to help kids that are struggling with reading. So we're making some extraordinary commitments to education. In the area of higher education, this will be the 3rd year in a row of no increase in tuition at our state universities, and we're increasing funding for both the Iowa tuition grant to help kids with financial need go to Iowa private colleges and universities, and increasing funding for the community colleges. This is being done at a time that farm income is estimated to be down 32%, and we've already seen farmland drop 15% in value. So with a very tight budget, I think education, in my budget recommendations, is getting an extraordinary amount of additional money. And we can't always give school districts a 4% increase in addition to what they're getting through the teacher leadership program, the early childhood education, and what we're doing for the high achievers that go into teaching. We only have so much resources. We're trying to do the best we can to improve student achievement in our state. And I'm very proud of the progress we made here in the last few years. I would point out, my predecessor cut spending 10% across the board, which really hurt schools, and then also failed to fund the school aid formula. I'm committed to make sure that we fulfill the promises we make and not break them as the previous administration did. Our second question comes from Leland on Facebook. Leland says, why is the pay increase for AFSCME covered workers not being funded? It is being funded, but it's being funded out of the existing budgets of the departments and agencies. Again, the state doesn't have the money to provide these extraordinary increases, and consequently we're going to have to do as we've done in the past, reduce the size and cost of government, make government more efficient in order to pay the additional costs for both the increase in salaries and benefits for these state employees. We're going to do the best we can. I'm proud to say we've made government smaller, more efficient, and more accountable, and I believe that we're providing better services today than we were when I took office 4 years ago. Our third question comes from Cody on Facebook. Cody asks, can I be there when you sign Senate File 345, the anti-bullying law? Well, the bill passed the Senate with a really strong 43-7 vote, and it's out of committee in the House, but it still has not passed the House of Representatives. We're very hopeful that when it comes up, we can get a strong vote in the House, but as of now, we've got to convince the House leadership to give this the time, and there's some strong opponents that are fighting this bill. But I think it's really important to protect the kids of Iowa and make sure that they feel safe in their schools and not threatened by bullying that can go on 24/7 in social media. This is a very important piece of legislation. We've been working on it for 3 years. I'm very hopeful the House will approve it, and I would just say, watch through the media. Once this bill is passed the House and comes to me, I'm sure we will have a bill signing ceremony, and I would be glad to encourage you to come to be part of that bill signing ceremony.